Hello, it is August 26th and it is 2:21 p.m. So the thing that the courts need to first understand is the fact that the courts look at crimes and not blame. They do look at blame, but only in terms of blame, not in terms of charges. They look at crimes that are committed. The other thing that we have to remember is the fact that there's no such thing as a good family or a bad family, or a scary family or a family that's not scary. There's such a thing as good and bad people, criminals and non-criminals, crimes and blames. You have to separate these things when you're labeling people in order to understand what the charges are going to be or who is going to carry blame in a certain situation. So right now, the reason I'm making this video is mainly due to the fact that Junaid has been rejected by Ms. Deb literally every single day. The reason Junaid was running after Ms. Deb is due to his bad habits. He just sits at home and this is all he does. Now, if I'm sitting at home and not harassing anyone, just working on my trial, that's my own business. If I'm sitting at home and threatening someone, harassing them, let's say I find out about a neighbor around my neighborhood and that neighbor has a lot of girls that like him, or for whatever reason, he could have a brain savant that everyone in law enforcement went around telling everyone about, or for XYZ reason, whatever the case may be. And I want that neighbor to go and scam other people's vulnerable daughters because that neighbor has a trial going on. And in that trial, artificial intelligence experts have basically scanned his brain out, and they are giving the honorable judges of the trial explicit details on his brain savant, how powerful it is, the kind of powers he has, instantaneous photographic memory, focusing, and innovation, making him literally the most profitable brain savant in the world right now. So you had Kim Peek, he had everything. He just didn't have innovation. And also, he was not a fully functioning member of society, not saying in a bad way. Okay, you have Daniel Tammet. He has instantaneous photographic memory. He just doesn't have focusing, because of which he has to go like this in order to focus, and he doesn't have innovation. I get all three. And they're superhuman, and they're, we also know for a fact that they're extremely rare due to the fact that it's the only brain savant in the world right now that increases in power over time. Now, the courts came to this realization on August 20th at 2:25 p.m. when Kelly touched my tongue and then made my rectum feel wet, letting me know that the courts had obviously come up to this realization right now. Now, the thing about it is, let's say I have a neighbor in my neighborhood who has these kinds of things, and he happens to be going through a trial, and the artificial intelligence experts are telling the honorable judges about all these things about his brain savant, and the fact that he knows what the artificial intelligence report says, that his brain savant powers increase over time, literally only could be one of three things. Either someone told him that that's what the artificial intelligence report said, or he has psychic powers due to which he could read that report, or he's telling the truth. Obviously, if people telling him things are on the other side, then the other side knows that no one told him, so he could either be psychic or telling the truth. So you be my guess on that one. So what if I have a neighbor like that, and I want that neighbor, and I'm calling grandmas all day right now, night long, due to which begging them to sleep with me, and those grandmas are saying no. I'm only calling them out of extreme envy due to finding out that they were going after that neighbor of mine, and I now know that if I call any of the younger girls, then they're obviously going to call the police on me. Granny's not going to call the police on me. No, she's not. So I'm going to run after Granny all day long. But Granny ends up saying one day, she says, you know, you should have some shame. I'm actually older than your own mother, and due to which I feel really embarrassed, and now I go and harass that guy who's my neighbor, saying, you have all the girls, young girls who know about your brain savant from artificial intelligence experts discussing it with the court chatter and them hearing about it. Now, I want you to go and scam these girls. First, go and ask law enforcement for their contact info and how you could contact them. They'll tell you through YouTube. Now you go and you scam these girls, and you get them to pass on to me. That guy, obviously the best ones are, anyways, that guy, he doesn't want to do it, okay? So whatever his reason is, he doesn't want to do it. Now, what ends up happening is I start threatening that guy all day and night long. And now these threats I've been doing for the past 3 months. So everyone knows what these threats mean. He knows what it means, and there's no question about it. So let's say this is the date. Today, it's August 26th. Okay. And the threats are as follows. So this is only 2 days ago. it's basically saying, I'm going to take oil out of your car if you don't go and scam these girls. Okay, I'm also saying, let's go together with this person named Micah, whom I do not like at all and detest very much. It says Amica go together, and I'm basically saying you have to go and help me scam this woman for sex. Okay, and then in between those things, and while asking and saying all those things, I'm also sending death threats to try to say, it says Punisher, one last kill, as in to say, I'm going to murder you. Okay, and then obviously it's not the first time I receive a death threat, since it was already sent to me before on August the 15th. It was already labeled as such, and yet he was still sending it to me, clearly showing that obviously these are death threats. Now, if someone labeled that guy, neighbor of mine, as being Tupac Shakur, and we're talking about his murder trial, and that's what I say on August 24th, which is only 2 days ago, then that basically means that I'm saying that I'm going to murder him if he doesn't go and scam these girls, other people's vulnerable daughters, into sleeping with him and then passing him around to me. So he's not listening, and the threats are not working. So I'm also using nice way of asking, saying, let's go together. Chevrolet commercial that says, let's go together. Okay, these are very recent. I'm not going to use the old ones. Okay, these are very recent. So this is also from 2 days ago. Rasputin, the reason I'm using Rasputin is because everyone says about that neighbor that he has mystical powers. Everyone that that harasses him has bad luck, terrible luck. You got to remember, what you do is what you get in this world. Your luck is dependent on your own good or bad deeds. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Okay, so most hated man, Rasputin. Rasputin is believed to have had mystical powers. He used to cure the Tsar's children with hemophilia. So, so basically, that neighbor of mine, or me, you could say me, I'm supposed to be Rasputin because of my mystical powers. Another death threat that was, and then threats to harm me. Okay, more threats to harm me out of extreme envy. Okay, more threats to harm me. These are just going on now. This is only about, so this is not from that long ago. Today is what, the 26th? Okay, so this is only from, 7 days ago. This is literally a week ago. Okay, so we're gonna slash your tires. Right over there, we're gonna slash your tires if you don't go and scam these girls. We're gonna slash your tires, is what it says right over there. Okay, yeah. So, and these keep going on and on. All right, but these are just like the most recent ones. These are basically acts of violence. These are threats. These are crimes that someone has committed against me. I committed against that neighbor of mine only because I was sexually frustrated. I asked grandmas to sleep with me, like Miss Deb, but Miss Deb refused, which basically never happened. Okay, Miss Deb used to grow up me at work. I'm not like that. She knows that. Everyone knows that. Okay, so I want that neighbor to go scam other people's vulnerable daughters, and he says, no, I don't need to do this. If I do this, I'm just going to get sued after my brain salon gets freed anyways. I'm going to get my brain salon freed, and then I go get married. This would be a really stupid thing for me to do. Yes, so basically, that neighbor of mine, he doesn't listen to me, so then I start threatening him all day, night long. Now, after threatening him, it's still not working. He's still not helping me scam the younger girls, and grandmas like Miss Deb are not listening to me either. I'm not always going like, Mommy, you got to sleep with me, and Miss Deb's just like, I'm not your mommy, and like that kind of stuff. And it just keeps going on over and over again. So basically, I get really embarrassed and humiliated, and then so what I do is I want that guy's trial to be ruined, because I tried to use this trial against him as leverage myself, but it didn't work. And so I want his trial to be ruined, but I can't call it myself, mainly due to the fact that Miss Deb just said, I'm not your mommy. So basically, I'm too embarrassed and humiliated to actually call the trial myself, so I get my sister to do it. Can I do that? No, that's my neighbor. I might have seen him 3 times my entire life. My sister's never seen him. Maybe like one time my sister might have seen him. It's not right for me to use her. She's never witnessed him commit any crimes. She's never witnessed him commit any crimes. Doesn't have any sources of info, someone else telling her that this person is a criminal or anything of that sort of nature. She's just doing this because I could not use leverage against this guy to go scam other people's daughters into sleeping with him and then passing him around to me. Obviously, he doesn't want to get sued either, so he's not going to do that. Obviously not. And I'm just asking him out of my sexual frustration. Is it right for me to use my sister, who has nothing to do with this trial, knows nothing about him, never witnessed him commit any crimes, doesn't have any sources of info that could have told her anything about him, and now I'm using her only because I'm too humiliated to actually call the trial myself? No, it's not right. The only reason I'm asking my sister to do so is because I called Miss Deb. I was like, "Mommy, are you gonna sleep with me?" And Miss Deb said, "I'm not your mommy." So I got really embarrassed and humiliated, and I asked my sister to go call. So basically, yes, this is no reason to be using someone else, okay? He tried to use leverage on me using this trial by using all these threats he used, and he would say, let's go together, as in to say we could be friends or whatever. And the friends thing was actually very recent as well. He tried to use every kind of leverage he possibly could. Even windshield breaking. This is Safelite ad. Look at the date over there, August 22nd, and this is 4:24 p.m. So this is Safelite ad, basically. Yeah. So even that was very recent as well. But yes, let's work together is actually very recent as well. I know I saw it in here. It came up a couple times, basically. Yes. So I cannot find it right now, but it was in there. It was basically two people. Yeah, there it is. So this is from August 24th. Okay, only 2 days ago. Basically, Deadpool and Wolverine working together, basically saying he would keep. I tried to use the trial as leverage against that neighbor of mine to try to get him to scam other people's daughters. And at first, I would be trying to be nice, like let's go together, we could be friends, and I'll stop narrating this trial, stop getting people like my sister to call who has nothing to do with you. And then when that wouldn't work, then I would use threats like break your windshield, take oil out of your car, murder you. Murder you was with different people. Tupac Shakur murder trial. They used to call me Tupac Shakur one time. I have no clue why. They used to call me so what else was it? Tupac Shakur, Rasputin, because of my mystical powers. They think their bad luck is because of me instead of their own deeds. Like, if you're just gonna ask grandmas to sleep with you all day, you're not gonna have a job. Obviously not. It has nothing to do with me. One last kill with the Punisher. That's also a death threat. So all these death threats I'm getting all day and night long. Basically, let's put it in this scenario. I'm threatening that neighbor. Like, I am going to murder you. You Rasputin, you're Tupac Shakur, and yeah, I'm the Punisher and you're my last kill. So basically, yes, try to use leverage on him using this trial in any way, shape, or form possible, even though I never witnessed him commit any crimes, don't have any sources of info against him, and no reason for me to be narrating in this trial except for this reason of wanting him basically wanting him to go scam other people's daughters for my own sex addiction problem. Now, when I call Miss Deb and I'm like, are you going to sleep with me or not? And Miss Deb says, look, I'm your mother's age and you cannot be calling me all day long. Then I get really embarrassed and humiliated, at which point I cannot call myself. So I get my sister to do it, who has no clue about this neighbor of mine. Is it right for me to go get my sister to do this only because my sex addiction problems are going to be even more ruined if his brain savant gets seed or gets freed? No, it's absolutely wrong. Okay. The other things that we have to remember is the fact that the courts look at actions. They don't look at people's words or their opinions. They look at actions and crimes, and they also look at blames. Okay. So what I mean by that is the fact that you have to understand that all these things that Junaid is sending me, they're all threats. And they're threats after he already broke the front under part of my car between June 3rd and June 8th. That's a 5-day time period 2 months ago when he actually broke the front under excuse me, or of my car to send me a message through law enforcement saying you don't comply with this, you don't go scamming other people's daughters, then I mean business. I'm really gonna break this. Obviously, I cannot do it. Let's say I really wanted to do it. Can I do it? No, I can't, because I do have a brain savant, which means that as soon as it gets freed, I get sued. These girls are gonna be like Farrah the Greedy Framer, who was advertising for her daughters all day, night long, 70 days straight. Okay, you think Farrah the Greedy Framer would let me go if I slept with her daughters and didn't marry them? No, she would be all over me. He woke up in the middle of the right night, and then she allowed him to sleep with him at night, but not in the middle of the night, and he woke up and he raped her or something like crazy like that. Okay, Miss Deb, who was running after me for her married daughter, like all these people trying to scam me, I'm not gonna go sleep with anyone. Okay, I'm not crazy or stupid. All right, yeah. So basically, yes, I'm not gonna do that. So if you're getting rejected, that's your problem. After my brain savant gets freed, I get married, I go home. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, the courts look at crime, they look at blame, they look at actions, okay? Now, the thing that you have to really remember is the fact that I have never been in a crime scene, not even as a child. No crimes committed, none attempted, none that were conspired to be committed. Now, Junaid might claim that someone around Hassan, when he was an 11-year-old child being adult supervised, might have said something bad around him. Let's look at who it might have been. Was it law enforcement's BFF like Uncle Joey, with whom they've been running sex schemes, money fraud with? Okay, let's look at that then. If it was Uncle Joey, Uncle Joey was a criminal in the sense that I only saw him commit one kind of crime, which was using taxpayer dollars to run his sex schemes. And Uncle Joey in the year 2022 had law enforcement torture me with the same kind of stomach torture drugs, tools that they use on me every time I reject Junaid's request. So yes, and then Uncle Joey had law enforcement put Uncle Joey from Full House, which is why we call him Uncle Joey, on my YouTube to try to say, are you gonna help me run the sex scheme ad on the phone? I'm gonna call you and I pretend to be really nice Uncle Joey. Can you help me run these sex scheme ads on these women? Obviously I said no. Then the law enforcement used more stomach torture on me. Okay, and then Uncle Joey tried to advertise himself around me using my using cameras or things of that sort of nature, which I refuse every single time, making the last time I've seen Uncle Joey when I was a child. Okay, Uncle Joey had some criminal actions that I witnessed. Which are these? These were the criminal actions that I witnessed: using taxpayer money and government resources to run sex schemes and giving reciprocal sex schemes from his in-laws. So basically exact same thing that Junaid is doing. Okay, what Junaid is doing is he is basically saying sitting at home all day asking grandmas to sleep with him. There's a big difference between me at home working on my trial and Junaid sitting at home doing nothing but threatening me all day. I have the right to criticize him because he's harassing me and threatening me, telling me to go scam these girls who are hearing court chatter about my brain savant, whereas I'm not doing anything to anyone. Okay, so basically, yes, Junaid is basically threatening me and harassing me all day, night long. Now, you have to look at Junaid's actions. Who does he copy? July 10th at 8 p.m., he comes in my car cameras and he advertises himself for these women and girls, basically to try to get them to sleep with him, looking down like an autistic person, walking very cutely. Right as soon as law enforcement basically give him the exact moment he has to come out of his house to be able to advertise himself in my car cameras. Now, is that who's that copying? Whose actions is that copying? That is obviously a crime. That is using government resources to basically for your own personal agenda, taxpayer money for your own personal agenda, getting the exact moment you have to come out of your house to advertise for these girls and women watching over my car cameras. Apparently that's what it looks like, and that's exactly what Uncle Joey was trying to do for years as well, since 2022. I refuse every single time, making the last time I've seen Uncle Joey when I was a child being adult supervised, only because that's what my mother told me to do, and only because I'm not stupid enough to go help law enforcement's BFFs run their sex games. Well, anyways, whose actions does Junaid resemble the most? His actions resemble Uncle Joey. So Junaid might be saying, or his sisters might be saying, very scary people, very scary looking family. Scary family, no. Scary people, yes. Scary people, who are the scary people? Like, let's say it was Uncle Joey who could have said anything you remotely considered bad around me as a child. Who is copying Uncle Joey right now? Junaid is. So who's his idol? Uncle Joey is. He's doing the exact same thing with the exact same people that are law enforcement to run his own sex game ads for these different women. So does it look like Junaid really hates his actions? No. Words don't matter in courtroom, actions matter, okay? Behavior matters, crimes matter, blame matters. So if Uncle Joey said something even remotely considered bad around me as a child, at least I had a decency to never help him run his sex game ads, no matter how much law enforcement tortured me, how much they tried to force me to go and help him out. They tried it over and over again. At least I had the decency of not liking his behavior or his words, due to which the last time I've seen Uncle Joey was when I was a child. Junaid, on the other hand, did not have that. Junaid copied Uncle Joey right to the very last dot. He wanted to make sure he was Uncle Joey Part 2. So his actions show he is an Uncle Joey replica. He idolizes Uncle Joey's actions. Does Junaid's words or her sister's words matter if they say that Uncle Joey's words when he was adult supervising me were very scary? No. You're saying one thing, doing another. You're saying he's very scary, his actions were bad, he's very inappropriate, and I don't like him. Well, when your behavior shows that you're doing the exact same crimes, these are crimes, using taxpayer money, government resources to fulfill your own sexual agenda, that Uncle Joey committed, and you're saying that his actions were really inappropriate, does that mean you really hated his actions? You really hate him? No. You're copying him right down to the dot. When I was asked the same question, it's on, can you help us run these sex scheme ads for these different women and girls? I get something out of it too. If I help them out, then they help me scam these girls for sex, so I get sex. Is that gonna be beneficial for me? No. These girls are not gonna let me go after my brain savant gets freed. They're all gonna sue me, and law enforcement won't be anywhere near me for miles. So I will get badly hurt, and I will have to pay for that. Obviously, in the long run, I'm the only one getting hurt. Law enforcement gets their sex and they run away. I get sued right as soon as my brain salon gets free. So when law enforcement asks me, Hassan, are you going to help us out scam these girls for Uncle Joey? I say, heck no, get the heck off my face. I'm not doing any of this. It's none of my business. You're getting rejected. That's your problem. I'm not doing this. Get the heck off my face. So that's what I told law enforcement. They used stomach torture on me. Now, my behavior, when law enforcement asked me, I refused right away, immediately, okay? That's not what Junaid did. Junaid's been copying Uncle Joey, so he's become a replica of Uncle Joey, okay? So basically, yes, you have to look at people's actions, their behavior. He's committing the exact same crimes that Uncle Joey committed. Uncle Joey used to have me tortured through stomach torture. Junaid had that done too. I have that on file as well. I wrote it down in my journal. Uncle Joey used to threaten to force me to help him with the sex scheme ads. Junaid does that too. Uncle Joey and law enforcement used to try to bribe me with sex, saying that you'll get it first. If I wanted it, I get it myself. I don't need you guys to go help me, okay? I said no, obviously, and I say no again right now. I don't need this. Whenever Brain Salon gets freed, I go over, move it over 6 months later. If I can do what artificial intelligence says I could do, which is get one patent done every 30 days, if I could do more than 1,000 pages of something as dry as Aaron Ball's medicinal chemistry cover to cover, with innovation being a superhuman power of mine along with focusing, that means 30 days is 30,000 pages, which means one patent every 30 days, something that human beings rely on for a lifetime. Now, if I am lying about this, then artificial intelligence has also lied about this when the courts came to a conclusion about this on August 20th with artificial intelligence experts on August 20th at 2:25 p.m., right when Kelly from law enforcement touched my tongue and made my rectum feel wet. Then artificial intelligence is also lying about this, and also the fact that between August 20th and today, which is August 26th, someone either told me what the artificial intelligence expert said on August 20th at 2:25 p.m., or I have psychic powers, or I am psychic powers due to which I could read the report without anyone telling me, or I'm telling the truth. Obviously, I'm telling the truth over here, okay? Yes, when I get this done, I go get married, I live my life happily. I couldn't care less about these things, okay? So now, basically, saying things like, oh, scary family, scary people, doesn't matter. Okay, courts look at actions, behaviors, blame. All right. Now the actions Junaid is an exact replica of Uncle Joey. Did exactly the same thing with law enforcement that Uncle Joey did. Got rejected by these women, just like how Uncle Joey did. Same people, by the way. Uncle Joey got rejected by Miss Deb. Junaid got rejected by Miss Deb. Junaid gets rejected by Miss Deb every single day. Okay, same exact behavior, by the way. Now, yeah. So basically, yes. Me, on the other hand, I refuse it every single time because I think in the long run, obviously, I'm not mentally challenged. As soon as my brain savant gets freed, I get married, not sued. Okay, I'm not retarded, and these law enforcement people wouldn't be anywhere near me when I'd be getting sued. I couldn't care less about these things. You're getting rejected. That's your issue, not my problem. Okay. So yes. So courts look at behavior. They look at crimes. They look at blame. So now. Actions and behavior and crimes. Junaid is an exact replica of Uncle Joey. He's threatening to murder me just last few days, last week. Within the last week, I didn't show anything else except for within the last week. It was threatening to slash my tires, threatening to murder me. Threatening to break my windshield, all these things while begging me to go work with him. Oh, we could work together, as in, that even came as in Wolverine and Deadpool, like we could work together over there, okay, right over there, all right, only 2 days ago, okay, every way possible. After Junaid has already damaged my car, the front under part of my car, between June 3rd and June 8th, within a 5-day time period, does he have any right to commit vandalism? Absolutely not. None whatsoever to commit any sort of vandalism on my car whatsoever. I bought my car myself. I paid for it myself. I paid for the insurance myself, okay? I did everything myself on my car. He has no right doing any of these things. At one time, my sister used to pay $30 for my car insurance so that she wouldn't have to pay me gas money every time I pick and drop my mother off so my mother could babysit her children. But that was it. But he has no right committing vandalism against my car or doing anything of that sort of nature to try to send me the message that he means business if I don't scam these girls. I'm not getting sued by anyone. You're getting rejected. That's your issue. These girls want something else. They want money, okay? And they're not retarded. They know artificial intelligence is not a liar, and they're not retarded. But yeah, I'm not doing this. So basically, yes, Junaid has committed crimes, death threats, vandalism, threats of vandalism, breaking your windshield, threats of vandalism, taking oil out of your car. Oil one, by the way, only 2 days ago. All kinds of threats, then trying to beg me to try to say we'll work together if we could do. No, I'm not doing this. Do whatever you want. I'm not doing this. And then basically, yes. At the end of the day, he tried to use this trial as leverage for his own sex addiction problem, and right now he's trying to get his sisters Sonia and Sophia to narrate, only due to the fact that he got rejected by Miss Deb really badly, who's his mother's age, by the way, due to which he's too embarrassed and humiliated to be sitting at home calling the courts anymore, due to which now he's using Sonia and Sophia to narrate. Now, the other thing that you have to remember is the fact that Junaid and his sisters can now try to claim now they're the criminals, I'm not. No crimes committed, none attempted, no conspiracy to commit any crimes either. So now you have absolutely nothing against me, while Junaid right now has been committing vandalism between June 3rd, June 8th, broke the front under part of my car, and then he threatened to break my windshield, take oil out of my car, slash my tires, all these threats of violence against me if I didn't go and scam these girls, hearing artificial intelligence experts discuss my brain savant with the honorable judges of this trial. By the way, that artificial intelligence is no longer a source of info in this trial when it comes to my brain savant. On August 20th at 2:25 p.m., when the courts came to realization that artificial intelligence experts said on August 20th at 2:25 p.m. that I literally have the most rare brain savant in the world right now, due to the fact that it's the only one that increases in power over time, and when the court artificial intelligence expert said that it's the only one, the most profitable one in the world right now, due to it having instantaneous photographic memory, focusing, and innovation. When this trial and the honorable judges of the trial came to realization on August 20th at 2:25 p.m. through artificial intelligence experts, I knew for a fact that the other side would obviously, out of extreme envy or whatever the reason may be, they would say we don't take the artificial intelligence as a valid source of info, and they thought that me trying to impress these girls would not say the same. As soon as they said it, I said it too. I was like, they said it first, I'm saying it next. I do not take artificial intelligence as a valid source of info. In fact, I think artificial intelligence is 100% flawed and it's 100% inaccurate, which means that artificial intelligence has never been considered as a source of info on my brain savant from the beginning, which means that if law enforcement has only run sex schemes and money fraud since 2001 with Uncle Joey's in-laws, due to which they have to provide Uncle Joey governor's protocol, they've covered over crimes like the wedding crime that they try to blame me for after August 25th, 2023, then they committed all these crimes, and then they try to frame me for multiple crimes like the wedding crime and all these other fabrications like November 20th that they knew about from before. Mid-January 2026, 10-year-old child claiming 25 years later that I said anti-government things to him, all due to something else, and that something else I've said is my brain savant, and that brain savant, by the way, has become a crucial piece of evidence in this trial, not been looked at all. With all due respect to this trial and the honorable judges, brain savant has not been looked at all, since both sides, law enforcement and me, both came to the agreement on the fact that artificial intelligence is no source of info on my brain savant at all, not one bit, 0%, which means that the only way to look at my brain savant now, which in order for this to be an impartial trial, the only way to look at my brain savant is through the naked human eye by giving me a 30-minute test instead of that less than minute test where quickly scan it with the brain scanner and artificial intelligence, and then they lock it all up and run away. Now we have to look at it for 30 minutes, let it perform out in the open for 30 minutes, and then we find out exactly what it is or it's not, or else the trial is missing a crucial piece of evidence, which is my brain savant, since it is the main reason why they committed all their crimes like fabrication, false testimonies against me, after all they did since 2001 is run sex schemes, money fraud, and cover over crimes like the wedding crime. So basically, yes. Now, the other thing that you have to remember is the fact that Junaid, who is a criminal, who's committed numerous crimes. Now, you got to remember, the courts count every single crime, every single time he threatens to take oil out, every single time he slashes my tire, every single time he threatens to murder me is considered one crime. When he had law enforcement in June 3rd and June 8th break the front under part of my car, that was one count of vandalism. All these counts are being added up as crimes that Junaid is committing every single day that I'm adding into my tablet and showing it to this trial. Okay, so basically, yes. It doesn't matter who Junaid got to go break the front under part of my car. It could be anyone from law enforcement. Since Junaid ordered it, he knew about it. He knew that vandalism was being committed. He knew it was for the purpose of his sex addiction, to send me a message that I have to comply with his request of scamming other people's daughters, or else then he's going to start breaking more things like the threats that he's sending me. So yes, these are crimes. Every single one is one count. Now, Junaid might try to say that, oh, he's bound to return to any environments where anything you've remotely considered bad was said around the sun. Now, you have to understand the fact that for someone like Uncle Joey that Junaid copies, complete replica of Uncle Joey. In fact, Junaid is getting rejected by Miss Deb, just like how Uncle Joey was rejected by Miss Deb. Junaid is threatening to do all these things, just like how Uncle Joey would have law enforcement give me stomach torture after asking me through law enforcement to go scam other people's daughter. Basically, Uncle Joey would say, I'm going to call you, pretend to be Uncle Joey from Full House. You got to help me play this game. No, I'm not doing this. Same thing Junaid's doing right now. Junaid is an exact replica of Uncle Joey right now. So yes, it's no secret if Junaid could be BFFs with Uncle Joey in order to get sex. Would he do it? Obviously he would. He's a sex addict. He begs women his mother's age in order to do it. So obviously Junaid would even become BFFs with Uncle Joey just to fulfill his sex addiction problem, which is no secret at all. Whereas me, I was since the last time I saw Uncle Joey, as my conversation with my mother from Russia will tell you, that Uncle Joey was caught with dirty online chat when I was a child. That was the last time I ever saw Uncle Joey. My mother told me not to go near him because he was a dirty man, and I never went near him afterwards. Law enforcement threatened me, tortured me, gave me stomach torture, tried to force me to go near Uncle Joey to try to run his sex game ad, only because Uncle Joey Joey's in-laws were law enforcement's mistresses, and they wanted me to help Uncle Joey out with the sex game ads in order for law enforcement to fulfill the favor for Uncle Joey, saying, we got sex from your in-laws, we gave you back to you through running ads with Hassan, the brain savant man, for you, and they gave me stomach torture, and then they also put ads on my YouTube with Uncle Joey from Full House. I knew exactly what they wanted. Uncle Joey was going to call and pretend to be Uncle Joey from Full House. He was no Uncle Joey from Full House. He'd be chatting online. My mother had no other option. She'd just leave me with Uncle Joey. Like, can you please watch my child? I have to go work at a fast food restaurant. The entire time he'd be like chatting online with different girls and women all day. And one time my mother caught her after that. It was the last time I saw him ever again. Like my mother said from phone conversation from Russia. So yes, which is why I had the PAL membership, was basically run by police officers to provide daycare for children who didn't have daycare, whose mothers can afford daycare. They're not just going to leave their kids out in the park when it would rain or something like that, without shelter, without adult supervision. So the PAL Center was made for this purpose by police officers. So basically, yes. Now, Junaid and his sisters, now that they have become criminals, and I've never committed any crimes, never attempted to, never conspired to commit any crimes. They might try to say that I'm bound to go back to an environment where someone like Uncle Joey was saying something bad around me as a child. You have to understand the fact that I have never gone anywhere near Uncle Joey, despite law enforcement torturing me to try to get me to do it. They also offered me basically sex with these different women and girls that obviously I refused, because I'm not interested. Like, I'm not going to go sleep with someone and then pass them around. After August 9, 2022, it was clear that I had a brain savant, and after July 1st, 2023, it was clear that law enforcement was purposely locking it up, and they knew about it too. So yes, I'm not going to ruin my future for your sex addiction problems. Obviously not. So basically, obviously, I said no. I was like, I'm not interested. I'm good. I'm not interested. I'd say yes if I was. I'm good. Thanks for asking. And they obviously tortured me, saying, you got to help us. And I never did. So basically, what are the chances I'm going to go to an environment with someone like Uncle Joey, who could have said something even remotely considered bad around me while I was being adult supervised, due to the force and necessity of a single mother who said, from my conversation in Russia, she never let me go near him after she caught his online chat. What are the chances I would do that, considering the fact that I never did, even under torture, even while being offered sex with different women and girls? Yeah, I still never did, and I would tortured, and I still never did, only for law enforcement, Uncle Joey's sex addiction problem. What are the chances I would? Absolutely zero. I never did since I was a child, whereas Junaid would become BFFs for his sex addiction problem if he could benefit from Uncle Joey and law enforcement. He's an exact replica of Uncle Joey. Uncle Joey used to sit at home, and he used to try to find different women and beg them all day, night long. Junaid is sitting at home begging different women and girls to sleep with them. Now, it's different between me criticizing Junaid and him criticizing me. I'm working on my trial from home. Junaid is doing nothing but threatening me with murder, taking oil out of my car, committing vandalism after he's already committed vandalism between June 3rd and June 8th. Now, who he got to commit the vandalism is irrelevant, since Junaid knew about the vandalism being committed, and it was committed for Junaid getting rejected by these girls and women, and Junaid knew about it being committed. It was committed due to Junaid ordering it to be committed. So Junaid was fully part and the reason for that vandalism to be committed against my car between June 3rd and June 8th. Now, it caused a lot of mental distress for me due to that front under part of my car hanging down, me thinking that it's going to catch fire or get dragged around on the road, that Junaid did through law enforcement. We know this for a fact. The witnesses, I've taken pictures of it, there are witnesses, all of these things. So yes, so basically, yeah. So basically, if Junaid claims that I would even remotely be going near I'm bound to go near any of law enforcement BFFs like Uncle Joey, BS. I've never been near any of them, despite all the tortures or the offers for sex that they gave me. Obviously, the offers for sex that they gave me was after July 1st, 2023, and I knew by then that I had I had a brain savant. I knew after August 9, 2022 that I had a brain savant. So I'm not going to do this for anyone. Okay. I'm not going to ruin my future. Obviously, yeah. So I never even remotely gone any near anyone, nor have I become the replicas like how Junaid did, nor have I become criminals like how Junaid did. If Uncle Joey said anything even remotely considered bad around me as a child, you have to remember it carries blame on Uncle Joey and the people in law enforcement who knew about it. Okay. If Uncle Joey went on CNN.com and saw something and he said, I'm so glad. Now, this is 2001 when the war occurred. He could have said, I'm so glad they died overseas over there. I didn't agree with them in this war in the first place, or something of that sort, from CNN or any of the other websites that could be legal. As long as it's not a terrorist website, it's legal, and Uncle Joey could have said that. Now, if Uncle Joey did say that, after going on a legal website, not a terrorist website, but a legal website like CNN or anything that would be a legal website, not a terrorist website, it would carry blame. It wouldn't be a crime, but it would carry blame. Blame on Uncle Joey and people in law enforcement who knew about it and did absolutely nothing. And blame on people like Junaid fully copying and becoming a replica of Uncle Joey instead of going after him and saying that what he did was wrong, what he said was wrong over there, even though it wasn't a crime, and what he did with law enforcement later on with commit sex schemes and money fraud was wrong as well. Junaid didn't say any of that. In fact, Junaid became an exact replica of Uncle Joey, and that's what he is right now. He just sits at home all day and threatens me with taking oil out of my car, murdering me, doing all of these things, just like how Uncle Joey did with law enforcement. Okay, just like how Uncle Joey did with law enforcement all day, night long, threatened me with stomach torture and all these kinds of things if I did not comply with his request of scamming these girls and women into sleeping with him. So yes, one last kill is what it said. So this is August 15th. It was already decided on August 15th that this is a death threat, obviously. So yes, so and then obviously this is also a death threat. Tupac Shakur's murder trial, also a death threat. And then it's, can we work together? All right, so he's begging me now, and then it's a death threat. Only 2 days ago, Rasputin, someone with mystical powers. I'm not the reason you're sitting at home. The reason you're sitting at home all day is because this is all you do, okay? If I'm sitting at home working on my trial is one thing. I'm criticizing you. I have the right to do so because I'm receiving death threats from you. I'm receiving vandalism threats from you. You have no right criticizing me since I'm not doing anything to you, okay? I'm receiving death threats from you. I'm receiving vandalism threats from you after you've already committed vandalism against the front under part of my car. So I have the right to criticize you since you are sitting at home threatening to murder me. You're sitting at home threatening to commit vandalism against my car, okay? You're doing all of these things against me, which is a totally different thing. Now, the thing about Junaid is you have to understand the fact that the thing about Junaid is just the fact that Junaid and his sisters might claim that someone who could have, except for Uncle Joey, anyone that they run their sex schemes or money fraud with, could have said anything even remotely considered bad around me as a child. Now, the thing that you have to remember is the fact that this person's crimes no one knows about, okay? This person could have said something bad around me when I was a child being adult supervised. Even my mother doesn't know about. She was not there. The entire point of me being adult supervised is that she's at work, which is why I have to be adult supervised, and the facts and evidence will show. She was never present in that setting where I was being adult supervised. Exact same reason I was being adult supervised at the PAL Center for free. If someone said something bad around me as a child at the PAL Center, which they never did, very kind, nice police officers, by the way, it wouldn't be my fault. It would have been their fault to begin with. But let's say the Junaid and his sisters now enviously make the claim that I'm bound to return back to that environment. You have to look at who's in that environment right now. First of all, it's a law enforcement in that environment right now. They commit sex schemes in those environments, and they go trade bank account numbers, phone numbers, all of these sorts of things with that person in order to run money fraud with those individuals. So am I in that environment, or is it law enforcement? Law enforcement is, I have never been in that environment since I was a child, even remotely getting sighted bit of mental maturity. And if I have, I'll explain in 1 second. It was only due to force and necessity of a single mother as a child, and afterwards it was due to something being needed or something of that sort of nature. Let's say my grandma needed something, fruits or something, and one of her kids, she's got like 13 different kids, one of them tells me you got to go give it, and then I would just go give the fruits over to my grandma, who's at my grandma's house at that time. Is not my fault. Okay, I could have seen that person, I could have met that person when I was going over to go deliver fruits for my grandma, because of one of her 13 children might have given me the fruits, and they would have said, Hassan, can we have you deliver it since you have a car, or something of that sort of nature. Nothing where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me, not only due to force and necessity, and only while my grandma was still alive, to try to get my grandma the fruits or vegetables or something of that sort of nature that she needed. Not to go roam around with law enforcement's BFFs that they run sex schemes and money fraud with. No, it was only due to my grandma needed something, and me delivering those things over to her, where one of her 13 kids would have me say, Son, you have a car, can you deliver this to my mother? And I would say yes. Who's at my grandma's house at that time is not my fault. Okay, what I can guarantee is, after I gained a slightest bit of mental maturity, that person who would have adult supervised me as a child when it was my mother's force and necessity would never, ever say anything even remotely considered bad around me anymore, because he would know that I could report it now, since I'm no longer a child being adult supervised without even the slightest bit of mental maturity. Whereas Junaid would knowingly, now you got to remember, Junaid's home party invitations, no one knows about. Okay, no one knows anyone who could have committed any crimes. No one knows who committed the wedding crime. Okay, no one knows who was present in the wedding crime. Okay, everything is just a guess by me that it would have been Sohaib and Asa. This is what would have been done. Uncle Joey would be there. Uncle Joey's mother would be there. Uncle Joey would commit the crime with Sohaib and Asa. Then Uncle Joey's mother would then say it all day, night long through their ears, and they would hear everything. No one knows about the wedding crime except for Junaid. Now, if Junaid has or the other crimes that these people might have committed, if Junaid has people being invited to his house, and Junaid knows who the criminals are who could have even remotely have committed any crimes, and Junaid still has them invited over to his house, whose fault is that? Junaid's fault, because he's the only one who knew about the crimes. Did the people inviting know about the crimes? No. They had no clue that this person committed this crime or could have committed this crime. None whatsoever. They had no clue that this person could have committed this crime or that crime. Who knew? Junaid knew. Did Junaid care? No. Did Junaid invite them over? Yes. Why did Junaid do it? Because he thought he would get an excuse to try to blame it on me, but the excuse is not on me, since I don't know who committed the crimes. I have no clue who committed the wedding crime. I was not even remotely there. No one called me over to their house to tell me who committed the wedding crime. Nothing of that sort of nature, despite me being watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child. So who knew? Junaid did. Did the people inviting people over to his house know? No. Did Junaid know? Yes. Did Junaid care? No. Did Junaid invite them over? Yes. Did Junaid feed them and take care of them? Yes. Why did Junaid do it? Because he thought that he didn't have any crimes against me. He thought he could somehow try to roll it over to me. Facts and evidences will clearly prove that I have no clue who committed the wedding crime. I wasn't there. No one invited me over to their house to tell me about it. Junaid knew. Junaid didn't care, so that shows negligence on Junaid's part. He was the only one who knew about who committed the crimes and who didn't. People inviting people over to his house did not know. Junaid knew. He knew from before. He didn't care. The other person who would be meeting with everyone, becoming BFFs with everyone, would be Kashif Firozvi. He would go to every invitation possible. He would not care who's there or who's not there, only because Kashif Firozvi needs more mistresses. He needs mistresses, and he is going to find more advertisement places. He needs places where he can advertise himself, where these mistresses could actually see him showing off and being nice little Kashif Firozvi, and then they would basically basically fall for Kashif Ferozvi, and then he would have more mistresses to trade around. How do I know this? August 23rd, 1:42 a.m. It says, fall into extra money this fall with Cash Kick. It said it 1 hour 42 minutes after midnight, and this it wasn't the exact ad, but it was something around there, and I showed it, recorded it on there. Now, August 23rd, 8:01 p.m., it said misplay, basically saying, can you help me find more mistresses and help me play around with them? Okay, who is his mistress right now? It is Miss Hopkins, that English teacher from school that would just not let go of me like a predator. She's like all over me. It says right over there, it says a deal with the cat. Basically, she wants a deal, meaning you marry me and I tell my boyfriend Kashif Ferozvi to let go. I do not care. Okay, I already have someone and I'm good. Apart from Kelly telling me everything that Miss Hopkins would do, Kelly also told me that Miss Hopkins likes eating men's poop, and that watching Miss Hopkins have sex is like watching an episode of Fear Factor. That's what Kelly from Law Enforcement told me. Okay, so yes, this is also August 24th. Kashif Ferozvi, basically it says, Kalshi, trade on anything. Basically, he wants to trade his mistresses. Then August 24th, 3:16 p.m., once again it says, trade sports. Basically, Kashif Ferozvi wants me to help him trade these sports. Now, 2 days ago, August 24th, 10:10 a.m., it says right over there, it says, Kalshi, trade on anything. Okay, basically he wants me to help him trade on these mistresses of his. So yes, so Kashif Ferozvi went and he became BFFs with everyone at every invitation, even though he knew who the criminals could have been. He couldn't care less. He wanted to advertise for his mistresses. That's all he cared about. So my entire history is the fact that since I was an 11-year-old child, yes, while being adult supervised at the PAL Center, which is for free for mothers with the low income who work at fast food restaurants, or while being adult supervised by one of law enforcement BFFs like Uncle Joey, whom I never saw ever again after he was caught with his online chat, or any of law enforcement's other BFFs who could have said anything remotely considered bad around me ever again. I never saw them ever again in my life, and they never said anything even remotely considered bad around me ever since I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. Whereas, now you got to understand the fact that my grandma has 13 children, and if one of those 13 children tell me and they say, son, I got to deliver fruits over to my mother's house, I'm getting a little old, can you come get the fruits and deliver it over to her house? I bought them for her. Obviously, I'm not going to be like, no, I can't do that. Now, if I'm or delivering things to my grandma's house and one of her other kids might be there, it's not my fault. They never said anything even remotely considered bad to me. I was doing a favor for my grandma and one of her 13 kids. Not my fault. Okay. So yeah. No one ever, after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, ever said anything even remotely considered bad around me ever again. And obviously, after my grandma passed away, I never saw anyone even remotely after that. And before then, if I saw anyone, it was only due to the favors that one of her 13 kids had to do for me. And if someone's at her house, it's not my fault. But the facts and evidence will clearly prove that I never went to go meet this person, okay? And if I'm delivering something for my grandma, then obviously it's not my fault who's at her house and who's not. And no one ever, after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, no one ever said anything even remotely considered bad around me ever again, because they knew that I had now gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. I can now report things if they say anything even remotely considered bad around me that I consider bad or bad in any way, shape, or form possible. So yes, whereas, and the other thing that has to be also considered is the fact that I do not know of any crimes committed. I do not know who committed the wedding crime. And so even if I went near anyone, I did not know that this person was a criminal. All I knew was this person might have said something even remotely considered bad around me as a child, which would not be a crime, but would still carry blame. Now, I did not know that this person was a criminal when I went to go drop off my fruits for my grandma. And this person just happened to be at my grandma's house at that time. Not my fault. Okay, I did not know, till this day, I do not know anyone who committed any of the crimes, including the wedding crime. Kashif Ferozvi knew about all the crimes and everything, okay? And yet he would still meet people when he would be invited to places, only because he could then find mistresses that he would advertise for at these places, and they would get recorded, just like how Uncle Joey wanted it done. It would get recorded, and then the mistresses would see it, and then gosh, for us, we could advertise. So I am not bound to go return to any settings that I was in as a child, being adult supervised by anyone like Uncle Joey, that I never returned back to after my mother saw the text, not text, but messages online with Uncle Joey, online chat, even though law enforcement tried to force me to do so. I am not bound to return to any settings where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me by one of law enforcement's BFFs that they run their sex schemes or money fraud with, when in fact the facts and evidence clearly show and prove the fact that if they would ever be around me ever afterwards, it would only be due to one of my grandma's 13 children telling me, saying, Hassan, can you drop these fruits over to my mother's house? She's really sick right now and I need this done, and I'm really old. I can't drive all the way over there. And I would just do that favor. And who's at my grandma's house is not my fault. But that person would never, after I gained the sight of mental maturity, say anything even remotely considered bad around me ever again. Mainly due to the fact that they understood that now he's a mentally mature child, he can report me. Whereas before, when he was a child, he could not report me. And so, yes, those facts and evidences have to be considered. The other thing also has to be considered that I'm not someone that knew about any crimes that anyone could have committed, like how Junaid knew. He couldn't care less. All he cared about was his own crimes that he had to commit, vandalism, threats to murder people, threats to commit vandalism, his own invitation list that he was always happy with, only because he would now get an excuse to try to blame on me, despite me not even knowing anyone who could have committed any crimes, and him knowing and him still being okay with it, him still inviting them over to his house, and him not caring at all. Now he found out that there are no crimes against me, and now he could try to blame this on me one way or another, which is totally not right. Ever since I gained a size bit of mental maturity as a child, since the moment that the court and law and order holds people accountable for their actions and the words that are said around them, from the moment that I could be held accountable when I would gain the size bit of mental maturity as a child, no one dared to ever say anything even remotely considered bad around me ever again, knowing that I was now a child with a size bit of mental maturity, and I could have reported something, and I never knew about any crimes that anyone could have committed, even remotely know, and law enforcement is aware of this fact since I was watched 24/7, and every single second that I was watched, they watched it very carefully. They didn't find anyone telling me about any crimes, me being present in any crimes, and if anyone said anything even remotely considered bad around me as a child, it was only as a child. After I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, no one ever said anything even remotely considered bad around me ever again. Mainly because they knew that I was no longer a child with not even the slightest bit of mental maturity, and that now I could report them, whereas before I could not. Whereas Junaid knew about their crimes, he knew about the invitation list, he knew that the people making the invitation list knew nothing about any crimes or criminals, and he was still okay with the criminals being at his house, only because he knew that I had committed no crimes, and he wanted to try and use this against me, even though I had nothing to do with this. I know nothing about anyone's crimes, he knew everything, and he was totally okay with it. Clearly proves from facts and evidences that Junaid is now trying to use this theory of I'm being bound to return to settings where anything you remotely considered bad around me, so it was said as a child, even though I was never around any settings or anyone after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. From the moment when it actually matters, was never near anyone ever saying anything remotely considered bad around me, knowing that I would have reported them after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. And from the moment I became liable under the law, and I knew nothing about anyone's crimes and know nothing about it right now, whereas Junaid knew about their crimes. He knew the invitation list. He also knew that the people making the invitation list knew nothing about anyone's crimes, and he was still okay with calling them over to his house, only to try to blame that on me. So thank you very much.